Well, hey there, you're on the internet, I have some free time, and welcome to the Triple N Network, where all you newbie nib nerds can find all the news you'll need. Let's look at an ink today, shall we? Now, today's ink is by Noodlers, and I got it both in sample form, here it is, and it's red-black, which is one of those Noodlers combination inks, which is supposed to be a combination of Noodlers red and Noodlers black, which means that it will have a semi-permanent component to it. But I also got sent some of it from my mysterious benefactor in an old J.R. Bond bottle. And I don't know if you'll be able to see, but in both cases, it's almost a brown. In fact, in some cases, I'd say it really just is like a brown. It's like a chestnut. You know, almost like an auburny type of thing going on. Yeah. So all the tests were done in either this JunHao X450, which is broad and wet and delicious, or this Sheaffer 100, which has a medium nib, and everything about this pen is very moderate. It's got moderate flow, it's got a very medium nib. Nice and easy. And let's start with the chromatography, because I feel like this kind of demonstrates all the weird stuff going on with this ink. Now here's the standard chromatography, where you put a drop of ink and instantly dunk it in the water, and as you can see, there's this stuff down here that like wants to stay, but even still it's sort of like resisting going up. This weird sort of like dark gray purple band, like a tiny little outline, you see that? And then this brown, and then up at the top you have this sort of like fall leaves thing going on. It's like reds and orange and blues and blues. I meant yellows. Wow. And here's the dried version. As you can tell, there's a pretty significant difference. A lot more remains and this is kind of how these Noodlers, you know, blank hyphen black inks work. Generally, the black remains and the rest washes away. So as you can see, the red really washed away. That dark black ink really wanted to remain. You get more of that, there's like an EKG line, and then more orangey red stuff washing off. Now here's some comparisons. Here's red-black, which you can see is it's pretty brown. It's auburny kind of a chestnut thing. Diamine rustic brown, which is another kind of red-brown. Faber-Castell garnet, or sorry, Graphone Faber-Castell garnet. Dromgool's Noodler's Alamo Twilight, which apparently was supposed to be a red but turned out a brown. Diatramentis Scented Cola, which is also supposed to be a brown but is like a red, so I always call it Cherry Cola in my head. Ackerman 18's Garuda Rude. Monaco Red, which has almost like a terracotta thing going on. Diatramentis Arthur Conan Doyle, or Ignatius Conan Doyle. And Noodler's Black Swan and English Roses, which is sort of, you know, Australian rose is sort of more of a purple red. This is more of a brown red. So, on to the paper test. Top down in density, Clairefontaine 90 grams per square meter. Dry times were a bit long. That is a theme that we'll see throughout. The very medium Sheaffer 100 was 12 seconds. The broad and wet JunHao was 20. But I hope I can get this on camera. You get this really, I just knocked the camera. It's really beautiful shading going on. This it has a really beautiful effect. It almost does start to look almost like a wood grain, like a highly polished wood grain. It's very beautiful. Not a lot of red, mostly brown. But yeah, for some reason the dots took forever to dry in particular. But yeah, there's no bleed, there's no feather, there's no spread. It's all very well behaved. There's really not a whole lot of echo. You know, and as the chromatography might have suggested, it might get a little messy, but what's at the center is very clear and very there. You can see, I mean, some of the brown still kind of remains, and it did dye the page, but if you had to recover that, you could. There's not a lot of exploding or feathering, so that's nice. Next up is Rhodia, 80 grams per square meter. Or again, I really hope this comes through, this beautiful shading. And there's no sheen, but in the thickest areas it almost develops like a glossiness. I know that's not going to come out on camera, and that's kind of tragic for you guys, because it's gorgeous. But yeah, again, kind of long dry times. The very medium was 12 seconds, and the broad and wet JunHao was 19. But yeah, God, it really looks gorgeous. I was really enjoying this ink. No bleed. And no feather, no spread. Really not much echo at all. Makes it very picky, you know. No sheen, obviously, but I said there's a bit of a shine. Water test, you know, as advertised, I guess, as to what it's supposed to do. You know, at the center, it's very clear, very dark, so that will definitely be recoverable even if you ran this under the sink. Maybe I should do that one time. Anyways, but it does make a bit of a mess while that red-ish brown stuff is washing off, so. Next is Tomoe River Paper, where I really hope this comes through. God, it's just, there's this really interesting effect that it has. It looks like, you know, like varnished wood or something. It's a beautiful shading. I mean, you have to admit, that's beautiful. But, again, this is Tomoe River, which is known for long dry times. So even the medium was 16 seconds. The broad and wet was 25. But it really is just gorgeous. But yeah, no bleed, no feather, no spread, as you would expect. But since this is a fairly darkish ink, you know, echo to taste. It's always a personal thing. But yeah, it really took forever to dry, especially the dots. I'm pretty sure I put my thumb in something on here. Maybe that was another page. But anyways, yeah, I'd say I'd love the JunHao combination if I had the patience of a saint. Which most days I don't, sadly. But yeah, Tomoe River loves to let ink just slide away once you add more water, but look at this. That's very clear, very dark. A lot of it remains. It did dye the page just a touch, but definitely recoverable. Now, next is 20-pound copier paper, where I only use the medium nib, except to write the name. And, I mean, let's look at the line width here. So, look at this area compared to here. Same pen. See how much broader the line got? There's a lot of spreading, but this is the world's worst paper. I'm pretty sure. And it still took 5 seconds to dry. There was still, I mean, I wrote that with the JunHao, so there was some bleed, but other than that, there's some near show through, but I think you can very comfortably write on the other side, so not bad. But yeah, there is some sort of woolly thing going on. I think I could call it feathering. I mean, yeah, in some spots, but yeah, not great. But water test, really not bad. As you can see, it did dye the page a bit, but what's at the center is very clear, very there. Next is Mead Notebook Paper, where, oh, this is the one where I put my thumb in it. Yeah, I only use the medium nib except to write the name. It took 4 seconds to dry, which I cannot explain. As you can see, there's really no shading left here. Oh, yeah, there's a little in a few spots. Yeah, I spoke too soon. Never mind, there's still some shading. But there's no bleed. I mean, there's a little bit of like a hazy echo, but there's no bleed. See, it didn't come to the other side. That's really just because of how thin the paper is. So that's nice. But, yeah, no feathering. Really not much spread. Like, so if we look at this, you can see how much broader it is on there. And compared to here, really not much of a difference. That's really nice. Getting those back in order. The water test. This paper absolutely hates water. It has a weird reaction to it. But even still, what's at the center is very clear, very dark. Did make a bit of a mess, but now this is that aged and matured Moleskine notebook paper that behaves freakishly well. So take many grains of salt with this performance that it's doing here. But yeah, on this lottery-winning Moleskine paper, apparently, you know, you get shading, and you get this very nice, like, interesting color effect going on. Yeah, there's no bleed, no feather, no spread, no sheen, no echo. And on this I even used the JunHao as well, because just to prove how not realistic these results are. But yeah, I mean, even on here the medium took 15 seconds to dry, which I think should show that there's something wonky about this paper. But again, water test, what's at the center, very clear, very there, made a bit of a mess. So, for your consideration from the Triple N Network, Noodler's Red Black. It's fascinating. It's more of a brown, but it's still really gorgeous, especially on premium papers. It actually did pretty well on not so great papers, which is, you know, kind of hard to find these days. Actually, it seems like Noodler's is the only one pulling it off lately. Anyways, for your consideration from the Triple N Network, if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more, please subscribe to the channel, and thanks for watching. Bye.